Okay, Thursday, 12th of December, 2024. So Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Thoughtful Thursday, philosophy and musings from life. So, El Salvador, a case study in principles versus pragmatism. Now, what's happening? I did a video about this two or so days ago, talking about El Salvador, and in there I mentioned that they had this big trade-off between the constitution and freedoms for the sake of results and getting things done. And I subtly noticed there that there was some contention about that, because you could say that, well, the results, the end result, far outweighed the benefit, far outweighed the cost of the constitution, so to speak, the freedoms here and there. The end result being pragmatic, we need solutions now, versus this is the rules, this is the principles, here's the laws, here's what we abide by. Now, I spoke to a lot of people, and the critical mass of those were happy with the results. They were happy with effectively this asymmetrical trade, losing a little bit of freedom, hard to quantify it, a little bit, to gain a lot of results. Lose this to gain that. Spend this and earn this. That's quite a good deal. This is visualizing that trade-off they had. Lose a little bit of freedoms here and there, with regards to tattoos and maybe freedom of speech, things like that, anything gang-related. But they gain this. They gain safe streets, more tourism, better infrastructure, more spending, this, that, this, whatever else. So then you could say, being practical, being pragmatic, is that a good deal? Yes, no, maybe, because you could say, well, you've lost some freedoms. But then you could say, well, look at the society, it's better overall. The country is better overall. Better overall. The pros, the benefit, far outweigh the cost. If you were to do a cost-benefit analysis, that's what happened. Because by talking to people and looking on the streets and in generally it's better off. It's gotten better. Overall, it's improved. Now, what does that tell you? Maybe, sometimes, perhaps, principles can be subservient to pragmatism, to results. Maybe the other way around. It depends. I think it's a question of what's the potential cost and what's the potential benefit, what's the potential profit. If it's the other way around, that cost this, get this, disaster. But the more imbalanced it is, the more inverse it is, the better. As though to say, the potential benefit has to be inversely proportional to the cost. So the smaller the cost, the bigger the benefit should be to make that trade worthwhile. Yes, if it's equal, it's okay. But the smaller and the bigger, the better. An absolute dust of a cost, but all this, wow, that's a good deal. Spend 1 pence to earn £10, for example. A £10 note is on sale for one pence. Really good deal. That's one way of looking at it. Now, there were a few people that didn't like what was going on, even though they could appreciate and recognize what was going on here, what was amazing in society. They still acknowledged the flaws over here. One person talked about the freedoms they had lost and how they had to be more careful when criticizing or talking about the government or whatever else. Because I do understand that there are some more strict laws with regards to gang membership. Tattoos, for example, or saying and posting things online related to or potentially affiliated to gangs. Which makes sense because those kind of rules, new rules that restrict freedoms, reinforce and perpetuate this success over here. So then when you follow the logic, still even that is pragmatic to the end. As in, when we say pragmatic here, we mean the ends justify the means. The end result justifies the methods and techniques taken. Very important, very interesting, very interesting. So that's something worthwhile considering and thinking about in life. When you take it on the broader picture, going beyond El Salvador and looking at the world, life, society, the general question will be, when is it worthwhile sacrificing principles for end results? To be pragmatic. Now that's a topic for another video easily. But what happened in El Salvador underpinned this philosophical concept here. Sometimes what matters more, principles or pragmatic? End results or freedoms and liberties? Well, that's an infinite question to ask. because there's no end to the debate. And even then you could say, well, being pragmatic, we have to draw the line somewhere and do something. Because then you could say, being realistic, well, the situation is getting worse and worse and worse, and all we are doing is debating and thinking, planning and pondering and theorizing. Action needs to be taken. Ah, interesting. Then you could say, well, maybe things have to deteriorate to such a point, be so bad, that there's no time for debate, no time for philosophy, no time to decide. Action has to be taken, otherwise it's just going to fall apart and everyone loses. Maybe when you follow the logical extreme, if everyone loses, then that's it, game over. Leave, walk away from the table. It's over. There's no point. It's beyond the point of no return. You could say, makes sense. Very possible. It depends. And then you could go one step further and say, well, what kind of person can deliver that change? Well, that's a whole other question completely. A strong person, an Iron Man, military this or whatever else, it has a whole other debate as well. But an interesting question, interesting philosophical thought process and trail of thought to have. But yes, and that itself could be another video as well. But that's important to understand. What's happening in El Salvador is a fascinating case study of principles versus pragmatism. The ends justify the means, losing a little bit of freedom, a little dust of freedom, so to speak, to exaggerate the point, make it clear, to get all this benefit here. You get all this, you get all that, it just costs you this. So give me this, I'll give you that. Very good asymmetric trade to exaggerate the point, to make it clear. Very important. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.